Hey everyone, it's Andrew Nagel, Valk 9 Designs, and I wanted to show you all a walkthrough of how I built the frame for my June piece. This is the Alphonse Mucha Agate Cameo piece. This was kind of an adventure to bring together because of all the different components that I had to do to make this work. It started off with some sheet silver, the tube settings you see at the bottom. Basically, I decided I needed to attach something at the top to hold this cameo piece into place while I worked with it. And so as you can see, I've also got some holes drilled into the frame. Those were for lengths of my 18 gauge argentium to feed through and attach to the frame. Basically, I created bars on the back of it to do all of my wire tie downs. And so basically I just fed 18 gauge argentium through those holes, attached it to the frame, and created bars on the back for all of my wire tie downs. As you can see, this is pretty flat, and so where the structure of the piece really came from was the wire that I added around the top and around the detailing sides. So to start off the bail, I needed to cut two different lengths of tube settings. I needed to do one for my smaller sapphire that I set up top. And so I started by sawing off that little length of, I believe it was a 2.57 millimeter tube. All of my tubes were the same size because all of my stones were the same size. And I had to file those ends down to make sure it was flat. And so after that, I needed to take a larger section of, this was 6.99 millimeter tube. I've been utilizing this tube for a couple of my pieces lately for the bail. It's been a really quick and easy solution to forming a bail for my pieces. I had to saw the tube off, and I saw it at an angle. As you saw, I marked it with that Sharpie. I did this little angle so that way I could do the thinner section towards the piece and then the wider section near the top, kind of like a flailed bail almost. I plan on playing around with these tubes for bails a lot more. Cutting off that little section on the end proved to be a lot more difficult than I thought. Some cool Batman socks, I hope you all enjoy. Then I also needed to file down the edges once I was done sawing this off of the larger section of tube. I've linked the files a couple of times, but I will link some more files in the description of this video for you all. Having a good set of files on hand is very, very useful. You're going to use it in a lot of different things for your frames. You know, you might need to file down some rough spots on the back or something. You never know. It's just useful to have all these extra tools for when you might need them. So now we're ready to bring this together. I've used my flux, and I'm using my third hand soldering tool to hold that larger tube in place while I fuse the smaller one to it. I wanted to bring it up to the ruler just to make sure I had it sitting fairly evenly in there. It was pretty good. I didn't feel the need to really move it around. I think I filed off like another millimeter on another side, but that was okay. It was easier to file it. But then to attach that bail to the sheet silver frame, I've brought 3 sections of argentium silver together. I'm going to put some solder on it as well, just so that way it's kind of ready to go and ready to fuse to this next part. I have those 3 squares standing up sideways to kind of create a wall. I'm going to solder that to my plate, and then I'm going to solder the bail to that wall. Wish I had brought that solder a little bit closer to that metal. I don't really do the stick soldering often. It seemed appropriate in this instance, but when you stick solder, you seem to use a lot of material. And so I needed to test it out, just make sure it fit in there nice and snug. Sure did. I could have had it closer to the to the bezel, and I did kind of have a slight issue with the bezel setting when I was pushing it down at the end, but you know, that's okay. It wasn't exactly perfect, but you want those bezels to be as snug as you can get it to the stone. So now we're attaching the top bail to the whole frame. This was a very daunting task because I didn't want to heat it too much. I should have used easy solder for this little section, but I was still using medium, and so I didn't want to heat it all too much and have, you know, basically like the wall fall over, or then also have that tube fall off of the other tube. So I was very careful to just try and heat that little section where you see the solder melting together. Let it fuse to that side. And that's kind of why I coated those 3 bars in the solder already, even though it was argentium. I wanted it to be kind of easy at this point, and I wanted the solder to just flow through in there to be enough that it just fused right to the bail. And we had a successful fusing. The frame was looking really nice at this point, and after this point I set it in my pickle and then polished it and then built the whole agate cameo piece. I'll add a little photo here at the end for you all just so you can see the whole piece again. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video. I'm going to be doing a couple more videos like this in the future where I talk about mixing wire with sheet metal and stuff like that. I think it opens up a whole new world of possibilities for you all. And so here are some final looks at the June piece. I did the tube set sapphires and then the simple wire wrapping around it. I really just wanted to showcase the piece itself. I hope you all enjoyed this video and that you have a great weekend.